Wait! Wait! I have to come to you! Hi.
So I don't know if you guys saw my last retrospective on season 2, but Drake and Josh was really hitting its stride when we last saw them. The season finale of 2 was Honor Council, where Mindy is going against Josh in the court of school, trying to get Drake in trouble. And it really picked up the pace and made everything a lot more fun. And we get to see a lot of the best characters that were introduced in that season in this one. For example, we're going to see a lot more of Mindy, we're going to see a lot more of Helen, and Craig and Eric definitely make an appearance.
Because most people I know put their underwear on before their pants.
It's when the show really shifted from being more family-oriented, staying within the family, to branching out to the jobs, different locations, going to Megan's school, Drake and Josh's school a lot more. Like, there's a lot more that transpires in this season. And I learned a lot through online research and, like, seeing these episodes once again, and I have a lot to tell you guys about how unique these are. Like, not only is it, like, a great memory, like, some of the most impactful stories I've ever seen were told in this season, which is kind of sad to hear. I also learned that Drake and Josh are technically in the 11th grade in this season, and Megan is in 6th grade. So they're around 16 or 17, and Megan's like 11 or 12. This is also the season where Josh gets a girlfriend. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it right now, but you definitely know what I'm talking about. Filming for the season took place in December 2004 to August 2005. And before filming the first episode, Josh Peck actually went out to lose the weight by going to the gym. According to Peck, he said that he lost like 100 pounds between these seasons. And I don't know if you guys remember Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, but it's a really good special branching out Drake and Josh from the series. It was filmed during this time, but isn't counted as a season 3 episode, so I'm going to kind of judge it separately on another occasion. But it is cool to think that between like episodes 10 and 16, that these events go on. Drake Bell and Miranda Cosgrove actually starred in the feature film Yours, Mine, and Ours while this season was being filmed around the same time, which is quite a coincidence to think about. But now that we've got all of our setup and excitement, hype for this new season of Drake and Josh, let's dive right into the episode, shall we?
Ruined my first baseball game.
Oh, poor little Josh didn't get his foam finger.
Okay, so for episode 1, we have the Drake and Josh in. Audrey and Walter leave the house to go to LA for spring break by leaving Drake and Josh in charge of Megan.
Why are you guys on the floor?
It's a long, painful story.
Drake spends the $200 they're given for food and emergencies only on toys and other really unnecessary items. Desperate for money, Drake gets the idea to turn their house into a bed and breakfast after he notices a couple that has no place to stay. Josh initially disagrees and is furious at Drake for his greedy spending, but later agrees because they really need the money.
Por favor.
No.
Por favor.
All right.
Megan also agrees as long as she's treated like a guest. Oh my gosh.
Thing, honey. Ma'am.
Drake invites over 75 college kids to stay at their house, and then they start partying. Surprise, surprise. Josh wants everyone out, but Drake refuses until he discovers someone destroyed his guitar.
They're paying us a fortune and I'm having fun. Hey man, is this your guitar? Okay, I want all of these people out of here now!
Drake instantly agrees with Josh, and they try to get everybody to leave, but everybody refuses and keeps partying. Josh tries to get help from Helen, which is kind of weird. I don't know why your boss would be able to help with that.
Look, I need your help, all right?
You wanna borrow my ointment?
No. Look, I have 75 people at my house.
How much ointment do you think I have?
And Helen doesn't actually care until he mentions that Drake's in trouble. But Helen ends up joining in with the crowd, and MTV starts broadcasting, which is when Audrey and Walter get suspicious because they see their house on TV, and obviously that's suspicious.
Okay, now please, if everyone could just be quiet for 60 seconds, and then you guys can make all the noise you want, okay?
Well, we're watching TV and we could swear we're looking at a wild party going on in our living room.
It's for you!
So they start heading home, leaving a clock on Drake and Josh's bed and breakfast. But with the help of Megan, Drake and Josh successfully get everybody out by saying that there's this gas leak of monoxous something gas.
All right, there is a serious leak of hydro... monoxapuff gas. Yeah, it makes your eyes bleed.
And at the end, Walter and Audrey come home, and everything is back to normal.
And a big hairy guy with a root beer bottle.
And a woman was singing R&B tunes.
She had a lazy eye.
Until they are arrested for having a televised party without a city authorized permit. Oh my gosh. Drake, Josh, and Megan realize that their parents disappeared, and that's kind of where it ends. It's a dark ending for the first episode of a new season, but I'm here for it, I guess. During the end credits, Josh is super upset with Drake spending all the money.
I bought gum. Gum is food.
So this was actually the first episode filmed at Tribune Studios instead of Nickelodeon on Sunset. It's also the first episode featuring HD graphics. The man who plays Terry also appears in the episode of iCarly, I Find Spencer Friends. He's also the dad in Jonas. This episode actually premiered after the 2005 Kids' Choice Awards. And this is the first time that Drake and Josh turn their house into a hotel. Starting with this episode, new episodes have been moved from Sunday to Saturday nights until the next season's episode, Josh runs into Oprah. So it's kind of consistent with this one. In this episode, Drake buys a Mexican robot toy which speaks Spanish when the button is pressed, and it's actually used later in the Victorious episode Jade Gets Crushed. Dan Schneider confirmed it on his Twitter, saying, if you recognize Beck's red robot from Victorious, it's the actual robot I used in Drake and Josh. Starting with this episode, the door to Drake and Josh's room is on the eastern wall of the corner facing the right side. In the first two seasons, it was actually facing the southern side, which is kind of specific, but you know. The opening sequence is new, with clips from season 2 and 3, alongside new scenes of Drake performing in the theme song, which is really cool. The episode is very similar to the Even Stevens episode, Stevens Manor. This is the first episode where Drake has an anime-like version of his bowl cut from season 2. The hotel where Walter and Audrey stay is called the Four Schneiders, which is another Dan Schneider reference. Oh my gosh, you cannot escape it. It's also a pun on the Four Seasons Hotel. Starting with this episode, Josh has significantly lost weight and has a new hairstyle, which is a lot more curlier. The party music played in the background is heard in an episode of Zoe 101 too. This episode's also similar to a Family Ties episode called 4RMS OCNVU, with both episodes containing a story about a couple staying at their house for the weekend in order to make money, which is kind of random. Same thing with Keenan and Kel. They have an episode called Da Bomb, where one of the characters uses their workplace is converted into a nightclub, which is kind of similar, but it's a little different than that. If you look closely at Josh's orange and blue polo, you could see the American Eagle symbol. This was the first episode to air in 2005, and the only episode where Megan pulls a prank on Helen. So this becomes more like an Airbnb situation with actual laws being in place since this episode. It's so funny because back then Airbnb wasn't really a thing, and now it's like a lot more common and less comical. Then we have episode 2, Peruvian Puff Pepper. So Josh enters a salsa making contest and asks Drake to help him in order to win the prize, which is a plasma screen TV.
Just for winning some stupid salsa contest? Well, all right, will you stop humming? We got salsa to make. You start chunking the tomato. Chunking. Should I get the first aid kit?
Megan wants to help the boys, but they decline, wanting the prize for themselves in their room. So as revenge, Megan sabotages their salsa by causing it to explode all over the kitchen, blaming the boys.
What was that?
I don't know.
Drake and Josh are sick of getting blamed for Megan's pranks, so they try to dig up proof on her deviousness.
Wait. What? I'm afraid.
They discover a surveillance camera in her room, only for them to get in more trouble when they can't prove that the panel was there in the first place, which is so cool because they look crazy.
Don't act all innocent, Megan.
Yeah, your prankster ways are about to be exposed.
They knocked my poster down.
It's okay, sweetie.
Care to explain?
Megan then enters the salsa contest on her own, obtains this thing called a Peruvian puff pepper, and Drake and Josh figure it out.
And these are among the finest specimens in the world, the pinnacle of peppers, if you will.
Figure out that this is one of the best tasting peppers ever. So Drake and Josh use it too.
Just grab it.
And end up winning the contest, but they're disqualified when they learn that the Peruvian puff peppers were there because it's illegal in the US, leaving Megan as the winner.
Thank you. How great is this day?
When the boys accuse her of having set them up, she points out that she's not smart enough to enact a plan that complex, and we're pretty certain it did happen. And in the end, Drake and Josh are grounded while Megan has a new TV. This episode's actually one of the most hated episodes of the show due to how Megan treats Drake and Josh throughout, and she once again wins at the end of the episode, while the duo gets no happy ending whatsoever. People also blame Walter and Audrey for siding with Megan over the duo, which is kind of really sad, despite the fact that there's zero proof they were responsible for the mess. In the iCarly episode I Toe Fat Cakes, Carly is seen watching a part of this episode, specifically a part with Megan in it, which is kind of surreal, and Megan and Carly are both played by Miranda Cosgrove, so like, what? In the book version of this episode, it's called Sibling Rivalry. When Walter, Megan, and Audrey are watching TV before the salsa explodes, they're watching the Zoe 101 episode, Defending Dustin.
What do you think this button does?
This is the first episode since the pilot where the phrase "oh my god" is used, which is kind of random. I didn't know that until I looked it up. This is the third episode in which Josh is wearing an earring, with the first being pilot and first crush. In the beginning, it's implied that Josh lost a limb off screen from cutting the tomatoes, and in the scene afterward, he has a bandage on his pinky. This is almost the first episode where Drake and Josh finally get Megan in trouble by showing her parents all the cameras, but it ends up not really working out, starting a more consistent surveillance on Megan. Megan refers to Drake and Josh as Boob and Boober, which is a parody of Dumb and Dumber. Megan's new TV in her room does not appear in any other episodes. When Megan asks Drake and Josh where the Peruvian Puff Peppers went after stealing them, Drake makes up an excuse by saying that it's the name of a band, which is a reference to the real-life rock band Red Hot Chili Peppers. It is possible that Megan's conversation with the botanist was staged the whole time. While the botanist may have withheld mentioning the Peruvian Puff Peppers being illegal so that she would buy them, there was no guarantee that in Megan's perspective. And yeah, this episode does a really good job at capturing the dynamics of the siblings. I like that Megan is a lot more active in her role in these episodes compared to earlier seasons where she was just kind of like hijinks or a B-plot that bled into the A-plot. Like now she's like a more active role. In episode 3 we have We're Married. So Josh is thrilled when his e-pal from Udonia, Yuka, comes to visit.
Whoa, really? Yeah, I gotta get a haircut. Yuka's coming.
While Drake is more interested in snacks and pranks, as Josh prepares for her arrival, he vacuums Drake's food before Yuka shows up.
You're done.
Though Josh is excited to bond with her, Yuka ends up spending more time with Drake, making him jealous.
It's a Glockma.
No, this is a goat.
Especially since he rents out an entire theater to play one of her home country's most famous movies, and she just wants to go with Drake to another one. Like, I would feel disrespected in that scenario.
Talking Helen into letting me screen it for you, so now that I've done all that, somebody's gonna be watching Ick Glockman tonight! Well, somebody's gonna be an organ donor before their 17th birthday, Josh! Nickel!
Hoping to make her feel at home, Josh arranges a friendship ceremony, but due to a misunderstanding, it turns out to be a wedding ceremony that accidentally marries Drake and Yuka. Kind of like the Full House episode where DJ Tanner walks around the table and is suddenly married to somebody. I feel like that's where it's stemming from.
I'm gonna shoot back up. How dare you marry my e-woman? Hey, don't get mad at me. You told me this was a friendship ceremony. I thought it was. Well, we're really good friends now.
While Drake enjoys being married at first, he grows tired of the commitment. Things get messy when Yuka's parents arrive in San Diego to meet her new son-in-law and reveal they're billionaires. Drake then hesitates to end the marriage because he could be rich.
Then what is this meat? It's goat.
But a scheme involving goat meat, meatballs, which is offensive in Udonia, pushes Yuka's parents to call off the marriage themselves. The episode ends with Yuka returning home and getting engaged with somebody else, leaving Drake devastated, which is super funny. I've always thought this episode was really good because of the cultural misinterpretations is just such a funny concept, and having Drake be the one who accidentally marries her and Josh having been the one who set it up, like that is classic Drake and Josh sibling chaos. The supposedly made-up word for Yuka's mother, Busha, caused a little controversy because it actually means BS in another language. The writers claim they had no idea and they just made it up, which I don't know if it's real. It's possible that Udonia could be near Russia because some of the accents of Yuka and her parents sounded a little Russian, and the actress Anastasia Baranova was born in Russia. Ironically, neither of the things Drake mentions are American, like sushi is from Japan and Mexican food is from Mexico, although the dishes normally served in Mexican and sushi restaurants tend to be a little different from their actual counterparts in the country of origin. But in a way, Drake and Josh would have been showing Yuka something American, but they technically weren't. This is the first episode that the term skunk bag is used, which could be a substitute term for skank, as Yuka uses it to berate another woman, which is really not nice. And I can't believe this aired on a kid's show. This is the only episode where Walter appears in the opening segment with Drake and Josh, although Audrey could be heard in that Dune Buggy episode in the opening segment in season 1. This is actually Crazy Steve's first and only season 3 appearance, which is crazy. I thought he was a lot more active in this show. Although Josh said that meatballs were made of goat meat, it's entirely possible he was lying to Yuka, since she had explained that goats are considered sacred in her home country. It's very likely he just made it up to make Yuka and her family mad and end Drake's marriage. The movie Glokma can also be seen in the iCarly episode IQ, when Carly was on a date with Kyle. And this episode was actually included on Teen Nick Picks Volume 1. So episode 4 we have Mindy's back. Josh is excited about the upcoming science fair and feels confident about his project.
You hear that, San Diego? Josh Nichols' time has come. So look outside.
Until his lifelong academic rival, Mindy, unexpectedly returns from a mental institution and beats him once again.
How embarrassing.
Yeah, not really.
With Megan's advice, Josh tries to ignore her, but things get complicated when Mindy picks him to be her partner for a new project.
But then, Mr. Calvin, but that would mean that we would have to, but I don't think we should, but then we should.
Initially frustrated, Josh eventually realizes he and Mindy work really well together, and their dynamic shifts from rivalry.
Maybe I just like you too?
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe I've liked you for a really long time, but didn't realize it because I hated you so much.
To romance, which is super interesting. Having been the last episode with Honor Council, these guys were really at each other's necks, but this relationship is starting to give me Jimmy Neutron and Cindy vibes, with their knowledge bringing them together, which is not a super important reason to be dating, but you know what I mean.
Later, horrible girl.
Oh, you with the comments and the pretty pants.
I cannot believe Drake would talk that way to his brother's girlfriend.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Nervous about how Drake will react, Josh keeps the relationship a secret, which makes it so much more interesting, and I like that we're getting deeper into relationships in this series. And it leads to tension with Megan and even more anxiety for Josh.
Mindy and I are boyfriend and girlfriend.
After a heart-to-heart with Mindy, she ends up breaking things off, leaving Josh heartbroken.
If you can't tell your own brother we're dating, then I don't think I can date you.
Mindy.
I'll see you later.
Surprisingly, when Drake finds out, he's actually supportive and encourages Josh to go after what he wants. And in a wild attempt to fix things, Drake lifts Josh up to Mindy's second-story window.
Hey, Mindy.
Hi. What are you doing at my window?
Where the two talk and share a kiss before tumbling into the grass. And it's a really good episode with Drake and Josh forming a really deep bond that we haven't really seen since the earlier episodes. The episode ends with the three lying on the lawn and the end credits of Craig and Eric's experiment backfiring, which is super funny.
Affects it. Oh.
Nice going, Eric.
This is the first episode in season 3 that Walter and Audrey are actually absent. Ted Lang was also known as Isaac Washington, the bartender in The Love Boat, who guest stars as Mr. Culvert in this episode. He also guest starred in the guitar episode. This is the only episode where the premiere theater is mentioned but not shown, with Drake saying, "I'm gonna go to the premiere to meet the guys." This episode is also on the Drake and Josh Go Hollywood DVD alongside with Helen's Surgery, which was probably filmed around the same time. Josh quotes the 1989 Kevin Costner movie Field of Dreams by saying, "Welcome to my magnetic field of dreams," which is interesting. At the beginning of the episode, Drake and Josh talk about their first meeting. A vintage Illinois license plate dated June of 1986 is shown, same month that Drake Bell was born in. Josh's line, "I get to be the boyfriend," is referenced by Mindy again in Really Big Shrimp, the finale. And it's nice to have Mindy finally back. She's definitely too interesting of a character to ignore, and Honor Council was just such a strong episode. Like, that's one of my favorite in the entire series. So seeing her back and continuing that hijinks always, like, made me have more fun with the show.
F-O-R-T, F-O-R-T.
Say it 2 more times.
Fort.
Now, what do you eat soup with?
Fork.
Really? Because I eat soup with a spoon.
When Drake mentions Josh getting his foot stuck in the toilet, he also mentions how Josh got his foot stuck in the toilet in the episode Smart Girl, which is a fun reference. Drake asks Mindy if she came back to get him suspended again, referencing the Honor Council episode. And Drake's head explodes in Josh's nightmare, which, in case of many fans, Drake and Josh would consider this one of the weirdest scenes in the entire show, which is totally true. According to the credit scenes, there are stunt doubles for Drake, Josh, and Mindy in this last scene, which is kind of interesting. The next episode we have is The Affair. At home, Josh tells Walter about an upcoming profession day at school, a common trope where all the kids get a peek into what they want to do when they grow up, something always interesting for a kid's show as opposed to throwing you right into their lives. But Walter claims he can't attend because he has a cloud conference. But Drake's suspicious of this. He catches him acting strange on a phone call with some random woman and overhears him saying he needs to think about his family.
This isn't a dandruff problem, Josh. It's a woman problem. Dad has cramps?
So this is convincing him that Walter might be cheating. Drake and Josh agree not to tell Audrey until they find actual proof. So later that night, Josh catches Walter sneaking in wearing a suit. Walter says he's just going out to buy milk, even though he drank it all.
I drank it on the way home.
Why are you wearing a suit?
What, a man can't look nice when he goes dairy shopping?
So wanting to remind Walter how great Audrey is, the boys cook him breakfast and pretend she made it, but it backfires when he has an allergic reaction to the cumin in the waffle.
Cumin! Cumin? You put cumin in his waffles? You told me to put cumin in his waffles. I said cinnamon! Cinnamon!
Which I don't like cumin either. I wish I was allergic to it. Audrey gets upset over the misunderstanding, and it makes the tension actually so much worse between the two. So Drake and Josh are not helpful, which is no surprise.
I like it.
Determined to uncover the truth, Drake and Josh ask Megan for help. She reveals first that Walter has been emailing somebody named Peggy Sherman, which is a disgusting name, and plans to meet her at a restaurant. So the boys actually skip school to confront this mystery woman.
Walter's our dad.
Oh. Oh, this is awkward.
Ultimately throwing food at her in attempts to defend their mom. When Walter finds out, he's furious and explains that Peggy is actually a TV producer he was trying to impress for a career opportunity. Aww. As a punishment, and to teach him a lesson, he forces Drake and Josh to pour drinks and food on themselves in the restaurant, which is fair. I guess that makes sense. The episode ends with Walter actually being proud of how far his sons were willing to go to protect their mom, and in the end credits, Josh screams about being bitten by a lobster. It's revealed in this episode that Walter is allergic to cumin, and that's something new we get to know. Good Morning Today is also a late-night satirical animated talk show on Fusion, which premiered in 2013. Good Morning Today. Drake and Josh might have thought that Peggy was bisexual when she said that she's still considering one woman, which is a funny reference for a Nickelodeon show. This is the second time the term skunkbag is used, which Drake and Josh used to antagonize the woman, and it's not really an appropriate term. Josh changing the password to his email account is likely reference to football when Megan told Josh that he has 5 new emails. This is one of the few times that Drake and Josh are not grounded for their antics, but instead punished in a different way. This is the only episode without a scene after the opening segment before the theme song. This might be the reason why the end credits are longer than usual. The restaurant's name in the episode is called On Vine, which is a reference to the now defunct real-life restaurant in California called Off Vine. According to the 3rd episode of Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, Off Vine next to Nick on Sunset is where Dan Schneider took Drake Bell for lunch when Dan told Drake he was thinking about making a new project with him and Josh after the Amanda Show, which is really interesting. So in the next episode, Drake fears that he may soon break up with Tori, his most recent girlfriend.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm dumping you.
You're not dumping me?
No, I am. I just wouldn't say it.
When he wants to win her back again, though, Drake finds out that Tori's already seeing other guys.
Yeah, that bothers me.
So he ends up going on a date with another girl, Liza Tupper, to make Tori jealous. And it's literally an episode about Drake manipulating multiple girls at the same time.
And I love animals.
That's nice.
My dad's in the military, so when I was little, we used to move from city
to city. And then I moved to San Diego and I got into teen modeling.
Meanwhile, Josh also grows a mustache, but nobody approves of it.
Not make fun of Grammy's hormonal imbalances.
Ooh, sorry.
Megan actually makes jokes about it, and Mindy gives Josh a razor to shave it. Eventually, Mindy pays Megan $30 to shave it off herself. And this is cool because it's like we actually get to see how Mindy fits into Josh's life, and this is definitely the way to do it, to kind of keep them also being friends and enemies at the same time. Megan is caught in the act by Drake.
Hey,
What are you doing in our room?
I, forgot to give Josh a hug goodnight.
sweet Josh.
Causing half of the mustache not being finished. This leads Josh to fill in the other half with magic marker with the help of Mindy, making him look literally ridiculous.
You know my brother Josh.
Sorry, chap. What's up with his?
Come with me.
In the end, Drake tries to get Tori back, and she doesn't care about the guy she's with enough to go with him, so she leaves him. And Liza and him hit it off. That's kind of how it ends.
Oh, you kids have fun.
A few seconds later, he and Josh end up on the couch and begin to leave. So in this episode, Audrey and Walter do not appear at all again, and the title is kind of a reference to the British TV series. This is also the only episode in the entire series where Josh's facial hair and his mustache is not seen in future episodes, which is necessary. Liza is later mentioned in the Dr. Phyllis shows, where she reveals that she is the daughter of the show's host, which is really funny. This episode was actually featured on a special podcast called Drinkin' Josh, which is interesting.
Drake, what's wrong? Are you alright? Did something happen to Oprah?
The next episode we have is Helen's surgery. So this is when Helen became like a really mainstay character, probably because of how funny she is and her prominent role in it. So Josh is feeling confident after being promoted to temporary assistant manager at the premiere, while Helen recovers from her laser eye surgery.
That's a lot of surgery. Yeah. So I get to be assistant manager until she gets back.
He hopes to impress her to make his position permanent. When Megan pitches him the idea, the Cuppo stuff, with a container holding popcorn, soda, and candy all in one, Josh dismisses it as ridiculous, which I think it's actually a pretty good idea, Megan, till this day. And at the theater, a customer actually spills all of his snacks at once, proving Megan's concept is actually super useful, but Josh still refuses to consider it. Helen returns early from surgery, but she's still blind and makes a complete mess, spraying soda all over the counter.
What are you doing here? You just had laser eye surgery an hour and a half ago?
That's right, I had my surgery, dropped off my dry cleaning, and stopped up for a fish taco, and here I am!
Josh convinces her to rest at home and offers to take care of her for the day, which is really inappropriate. Like, you don't really have to go out of your way that much for your boss, but I mean, if he cares this much about the position, it makes sense.
Just get my purse, right?
I'll get it.
No, I'll get it!
Josh brings Drake along to drive Helen home, and they're stunned by how extravagant her apartment is. Like, it has a hot tub, a disco-lit dance machine, like, it is insane.
It's like $1 billion. Yeah, how do you afford all this?
Is that some of your business?
How do you afford it?
Well, I'll tell you, Drake.
Josh tries to be responsible and accidentally spills Helen's eye drops and rushes to the pharmacy to replace them, leaving Drake with her. When Josh returns home to get extra supplies, Drake shows up.
Drake! Hey! 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 Drake, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be watching Helen. I know, but I came back to get a bathing suit for the hot tub.
They rush back to find her gone. So Josh checks the premiere in a panic, only to be guilt-tripped by Gavin into imagining Helen's funeral.
Because Helen was abandoned in her time of need. Abandoned by that man, Josh Nichols. How could you, Josh?
Fortunately, Megan calls to say Helen wandered into the park and started talking to a shrub, and she brought her home.
One cup that holds soda and popcorn and candy. That's revolutionary.
Hear that?
Which is really interesting. Megan uses the opportunity to pitch her the Cuppo stuff directly, and she ends up loving it.
Don't forget the candy compartment. Oh, brilliant!
Josh returns home to Helen's apartment, only to find that Drake has thrown a party without her knowing. Oh my god, Drake, are you serious?
Drake, why are y'all sweaty?
Well, That's just what happens when I hug a pretty girl.
Drake, you are too much in that song.
When Helen says she wants to get into the hot tub fully clothed, the teens try to hide and be super silent.
Yeah, that's just me, Helen. I wanted to take a hot tub with you, so I just got in. I hope that's okay.
Of course it is.
But once Helen removes her badges, she reveals that her vision is back and there's a full party going on. She's furious at first and blames Josh, but then when we find out it's Drake's idea, she immediately shifts her tone, believing that Drake threw a party to celebrate her recovery, which is really messed up. Oh my gosh, the favoritism has gone way too far in this episode.
You threw a party just to celebrate my new and improved eye vision.
Meanwhile, Josh is demoted back to the red vest, and Megan's Cuppo stuff becomes a hit, earning hundreds in royalties after Helen buys the idea, which is so crazy that Josh's mishaps end up with Megan having such a great opportunity. During the credits, Megan and Helen are at home watching Happy Times, which is a cool reference to the earlier mention of Helen's young stardom. It's revealed that Helen was a child actress in this episode who played Little Georgia in the show Happy Times, who had the catchphrase, "That is not my job."
That is not my job.
Yeah, that was the catchphrase.
That is not my job.
You don't do it right.
And it's also on the Drake and Josh Go Hollywood DVD. In Josh's funeral dream, he imagines all the premiere employees are wearing their usual vests, but colored in black to represent grief, which is a really cool artistic choice. Helen might have broken the fourth wall in the credits when she told Megan you would not want to be a little girl in a TV show, which she literally is.
Yeah?
Yeah, trust me, you would not want to be a little girl on a TV show.
Interesting.
Helen's apartment is seen for the first and only time, which is kind of cool. And Josh saying Teens Gone Wild in this episode is a reference to the season 1 finale when Grammy's Gone Wild in the episode's deleted scene of the credits. Helen references Happy Times again on the victorious episode Helen Back Again, which we do not need to get into. I think that episode is so weird. Groove Machine is definitely a parody of Dance Revolution, and many of the laugh tracks from Keenan and Kel are used during this episode, including the Happy Times scenes. It's possible they reused the live audience sound files constantly, and I don't know if you grew up watching this show, but I definitely picked up on that pretty quickly. This is the first episode where Drake steals Josh's story at the beginning of the episode just because he didn't have one of his own, causing Josh to run upstairs quickly, call him out for ideas, and stop him and jump as they fall into the ground.
Don't forget to breathe.
Now you tell me!
Next we have paging Dr. Drake. So Josh injures his foot after Drake accidentally launches a potato at him using a homemade potato launcher, which is ridiculous.
Hold it. Hold it.
While the injury gets worse, Josh refuses to go to the hospital out of fear. The family eventually forces him to get checked out, where he's relieved to learn that he won't lose his foot, but he will need surgery.
See ya!
And Josh's fear of the hospital is so real. It's crazy that we don't really touch upon it later in the show, but it definitely is really helpful for this episode.
Code Red! Code Red!
What's wrong with him?
I don't know!
I'm out of here.
At the hospital, Drake becomes smitten with many of the attractive nurses, which are super old for him. You cannot be doing that, Drake. You are in high school. But he pretends to be a doctor to impress them, and even scores a few dates.
You can't do that.
Sure I can. Look, Michelle's Thursday, Kristen's Friday, Letitia's Saturday.
Which is not okay. Josh warns him that impersonating a doctor is a crime, and Drake agrees to drop the act. But before he could...
I thought I'd stop by to say, I don't think we've met before.
Right. You see, I'm just filling in.
Just filling in. Just filling in.
Josh's doctor mistakes him for the real Dr. Elliot Nussbaum, a young medical prodigy due to arrive later that day, which is a great justification for them believing Drake could be in this position at his age.
Really, I can't.
Why not?
I don't know how.
Drake tries to back out, but Dr. Carlson insists to perform a live demonstration in front of the entire hospital staff. So, like, there's no way out. So Drake has to stall for as long as possible.
Well, shall we, scrub up?
Oh, I'm cool. I took a shower last night.
My machine.
Until Josh bursts in, dressed in scrubs himself, pretending to be Dr. Vichyssoise, a fellow doctor. Oh my gosh.
Okay, Donkey. Dr. Nussbaum is ready to do the surgery on the foot person.
The two stage an argument and use the distraction to flee back to Josh's room. Moments later, the real Dr. Nussbaum appears, and Dr. Carlson calls out Drake for impersonation. The two officers enter the room to get rid of Drake, but he leaps out the window to escape, breaking his arm in the process. These episodes never end well for Drake and Josh. Meanwhile, Megan seeks revenge for being frozen out of temperature control, since the thermostat is in Drake and Josh's room. She relocates it to her room and sets it low so that Drake and Josh wake up to snow indoors as the end credits roll, which is kind of insane.
Looks like we foiled her little plan.
Yeah, so she made the room a little cold, like we care.
Hey, wanna watch some TV? Sure.
Drake tries to help an injured Josh back to the hospital. When Drake explains what went wrong with the potato launcher, Josh just throws it out the window. The episode of Drake and Josh feels very similar to Forever Plaid, where London and Maddie impersonate the two nuns, but it's definitely a common sitcom trope where the kids pretend to be something they're not and get thrown into the midst of what they pretended to be. Like, it's definitely common. As clearly mentioned in the episode, it is actually illegal to impersonate a doctor. It's unknown why Dr. Nussbaum and the hospital didn't press charges against Drake, although it is possible they decided it wouldn't be worth the time and money to do so, and it's more of a misunderstanding than anything else. But I don't think the writers were used to writing their ways out of stuff like this.
You mean he's an imposter?
It would appear so.
The real name for impersonating someone is called identity theft. The end of the episode is similar to the end of Megan's first kiss, when Drake breaks his right arm and Josh has a broken left foot with crutches, which is so funny. Josh names himself Dr. Vichyssoise, and as Josh points out, it's actually a type of soup. It means potato soup in French, and it's translated by Mr. Weezer as heard on the episode of Jimmy Neutron called Mighty Weezers in my recent season 2 retrospective, which is so funny. The episode is quite similar to the episode of Danny Phantom called Doctor's Disorders, when Tucker actually was terrified of going to hospitals as well as Josh. John O'Hurley, who played Dr. Carlson, actually has no distinct memory of filming this episode, which is kind of crazy. The next episode we have is Foam Finger. This is definitely one of the infamous Drake and Josh episodes that have been remembered over time, just because of its creative format change into being completely flashback episodes. They also did this in Victorious, when somebody committed a crime and they were trying to figure it out. I really like this concept. So after school, Megan tricks Drake into eating Josh's last toaster strudel by swapping Josh's warning note with a fake one giving permission, which is super funny.
Property of Josh, do not eat. Ha! Oh.
This causes Drake and Josh to argue, surprise, unaware that Megan switched the note back to their places. That night, Josh refuses to go watch a Padres game with the family, still bitter over the foam finger incident from 8 years ago.
Never go to a Padres game again!
It's been 8 years.
Since what?
Since some rotten kid started a fight with me when I was trying to buy a foam finger.
You were 8 years old. Let it go.
He recalls getting into a fight with a boy who stole the last foam finger.
Didn't you get into a fight with some boy at a Padres game when you were little?
And this guy actually turns out to be Drake. Each remember the moment differently though. Josh paints Drake as rude and spiteful.
Ha ha, I got the last foam finger. Daddy!
And Drake imagines himself as the nice guy, even helping a dying British orphan in line.
May I please cut in front of you? Every minute counts. Aw, for the lava crud!
Their memories clash and the two end up feuding again, with Drake moving out of their room and crashing in Megan, snoring loudly.
What'd you do that for?
Get out of here!
And I like that we have an episode that takes their fighting to the next level. Like, we've never had Drake have to literally move out of the room before, but it's gotten that bad, and I like it when it gets that bad.
Can I help you?
To resolve things, Megan actually tracks down Lenny, who is the Padres Stadium worker from that day.
Who's your little friend?
His name's Lenny Spodnik, or you may know him better as the guy who sells foam fingers at the Padres games.
Used to sell foam fingers. I got promoted to bobbleheads.
And Lenny remembers the truth. Drake and Josh were both polite, let girls cut in line, and Drake accidentally got the last foam finger. But the real fight started when toddler Megan threw a cookie that hit Josh. making him think that Drake attacked him. Realizing this was all a misunderstanding, the boys make up and imagine themselves as elderly versions of themselves still bickering, which is definitely going to be happening. In the dream, old Megan throws a cookie at Josh again, reigniting the same fight. And it's funny that all the events of this episode are surmised in that moment when Megan gives them notes for the toaster strudel, and then also at the end of the episode. Like, that's just really good writing.
The girl did mention $100.
$100?
Oh, just pay him.
When Drake and Josh are fighting over who started the fight about the foam finger 8 years ago, it occurs in 1997, regarding what happened to Drake and Josh in the flashback. This episode is very similar to the Victorious episode, Who Did It to Trina. In both episodes, the characters recount their stories and going through different flashbacks. It's revealed that Drake and Josh met at a Padres game, which is really interesting backstory. I wish they brought it up a little bit more, but it doesn't seem relevant after this plot.
Why are you in here?
Because this is the living room. And, yeah, living!
Lenny Spodwick is a reference to Mike Spodrick, a cinematographer who works with Dan Schneider on many, if not all of his shows. Megan saves the day by calling the stadium where Lenny Spodrick works, and doesn't actually pull any pranks on Drake and Josh this time. A futuristic flash forward of Drake, Josh, and Megan at 97, 96, and 91 could also be seen in the resolution of the show where they fight over some hot food products, which are used to help people's GI tracts recover from GI illnesses. Ironically, Drake Bell's cousin is a former Padre pitcher, Heath Bell. Isn't that interesting? In one of Dan Schneider's other shows, Henry Danger, the episode Tears of a Jolly Beetle, a clip is seen of Josh saying his famous line, "I ain't calling you a truther," which is funny because it's a popular internet meme. Yeah, overall a good episode.
Josh, hurry! Hurry, there's smoke in Theater 7! Smoke! All right, out of my way! You disappoint me.
So the next episode we have is Girl Power. So Drake wants to break up with his girlfriend Lucy after finding out that she possibly is tougher than he is.
I'm not done with you.
I beg to differ. Now you and your little hoodlum friends get out of my movie theater before I pop you like a zit. Move it!
But he challenges her to a fight to prove that he is tougher than her. And I like this episode's premise because it's not a lot that we talk about gender norms anymore, but like the fact that Drake is falling into them and it's kind of a lesson about coming out of them, like this is what TV should be made for. Like,
We weren't even looking. Okay, Lucy is not tougher than you. Yeah, I guess you did kind of catch me off guard.
accidents like this, like misinterpretations of gender, like that's, like overcoming that is where real stories come in, and I'm happy they have episodes like this. Meanwhile, Josh tries to impress Mindy's parents so he can continue to date her.
That flickering bulb is giving me a headache.
Huh? Well, it's probably just Lucy. I could fix her. Now, who would like some chicken?
He later organizes a dinner with all of them at his house to prove that he is a stand-up boyfriend, but it happens to fall under the same night that Drake and Lucy are planning on fighting.
Drake, you know how hard it was for me to convince Mindy's parents to come here and have dinner, all right? This is my last chance to impress them, and if I don't, they're not gonna let me date Mindy anymore.
So she's icky.
It's normal that you see an episode with a guy challenging his bully to fight, but like a boyfriend and a girlfriend fight? Like, this is so weird. Josh is concerned that the fight will ruin his chances of impressing Mindy's parents, so he makes Drake and Lucy wrestle upstairs in the bedroom, where Megan is waiting to watch the fight with her groups of friends cheering them on, which is so funny.
You can't throw us out. I charge these people $10 admission.
You charge us $20 each.
But during the dinner, Drake and Lucy wrestle their way into the living room during the dinner. Josh gets so upset about how Drake ruins his plans, he calls him out in the worst way it's ever been in the series so far. But it's understandable, like, Josh really cares for Mindy.
It's a draw!
Mindy's parents see how much Josh cares for their daughter and allow her and Josh to keep dating because of his commitment.
What were you two fighting about?
Because he didn't believe that I was tougher than him.
Well, of course you're not.
Huh?
Physically, boys are genetically superior to girls.
And then Mindy's dad asks Drake and Lucy why they were fighting, causing Mr. and Mrs. Crenshaw to fight each other and see who's tougher, which is super funny. During the end, Josh tries to pick up a piece of chicken for his dinner by using his fork, but Mindy's brother Aiden gets mad because Josh picked the piece of chicken he wanted and he leaves the dinner table, which is funny. So Lucy actually does come back in the Storm episode, but this is like one of the only times she's here. One of the kids Megan invites to watch the show actually reappears in Megan's new teacher.
I just made a date to fight my girlfriend.
Seeing how Mr. Crenshaw was super offended by the daisies when he says, in Czechoslovakia, the daisy is known as the flower of death, it could be assumed that he is either part Slavic or Czechoslovenian.
Good to see you, sir.
Nice to see you, Josh. You're hurting my hand.
Sorry. My fault.
Clearly.
This is like the only appearances of Mindy's parents and her younger brother. And the Aiden scene was cut out from the episode itself, but it was shown during the end credits.
Okay, here.
I don't know. I don't want it after you put your fork in it.
Okay, well, how about this one?
I don't like the breast.
Well, who knew?
Then we have Sheep Thrills. So Megan bought a machine that shoots paintballs. At first convincing Drake it will shoot Josh only for it to shoot Drake instead.
What just happened? You said you were gonna get Josh, huh?
And then Josh to shoot back, causing them to fight. Then Drake and Josh eat pudding, talk about how Drake barely passes his algebra test.
An intruder. We better go wake up Dad.
Yeah, I don't think a burglar's gonna be afraid of a weatherman wearing footsie pajamas.
They hear a strange noise in the garage, only to find out that Megan actually adopted a sheep named Bob, which is a super funny joke.
You hit me repeatedly. What up with the sheep?
It's her secret pet that she ordered online. She talks to Drake and Josh about temporarily babysitting her pet sheep, which kind of gives me the vibes of the babysitting episode of Drake and Josh from season 1, Two Idiots and a Baby. That was a really funny one.
If you two hide him, just till I figure out a way to explain him to Mom and Dad,
Yeah. What?
I promise not to pull any pranks on you for 3 months.
For real?
You swear?
Swear.
Think about it.
We'll do it.
Bob ends up giving birth to a baby lamb on Drake's bed after being assisted by Dr. Jeff Glazer.
If you want my diagnosis, I'd say that Bob was pregnant.
Was. Pregnant. Not anymore. It's $100.
When Megan's out, Drake and Josh have to hide the sheep from their parents. So when Audrey and Walter go upstairs, they both become super suspicious.
What? Oh, something in my eye. Something in his eye.
Pinging sound whenever I'm...
I'm so black. I'm so alarmed by the pinging sound.
I don't know how the parents aren't even more suspicious, and I always thought this part was really funny when I was a kid.
It might be coming from the alternator unless...
Whoa! Josh, what are you doing? I don't know,
Like, there's no way you can realistically convince your father you have a reason to shut the car door on his face. After all these horrible attempts to keep this a secret, surprise, surprise, Walter and Audrey finally show up. It's about time.
They're suspicious!
They try to tell him it was Megan's fault, but their parents don't believe them, of course, because Megan is viewed as the nice child.
So you want us to believe that a sweet little 11-year-old girl somehow managed to go on the internet and buy herself a pregnant sheep?
It does sound unlikely. It's true! It's true!
When Megan goes into Drake and Josh's room, she pretends she's never seen him, causing Drake and Josh to get grounded for a month, and it's just like they give up completely.
How long are we grounded?
A month.
Fair enough.
After that, Bob and the lamb end up going to the petting zoo. A month later, the night before Drake and Josh are free from their punishment, the boys discover that Megan actually bought a zebra, which they choose not to do anything with.
So,
And it's super funny. Like, I love that Megan put them in this position. And this, I feel like, this dynamic would have been really funny in season 1 as opposed to, like, just a random lady and her baby. Like, I like that Megan is in the plot. Megan technically broke her promise and lied about pulling pranks for the 3 months, because the sheep thing definitely counts as a prank. Bob was pregnant, diagnosed by Dr. Glazer. It's been discovered that she gave birth to a lamb on Drake's bed. Drake manages to feed some Diet Mocha Cola to the lamb. The episode was initially going to be about kangaroos, which were harmful and vicious according to the episode's cast and crew members, instead of the sheep. In many, if not all, subsequent episodes, a no kangaroo sign is visible in Drake and Josh's bedroom. Josh wears the same shirt in the beginning of the episode that he did in the second half of Foam Finger, which is interesting. And it's super unknown how Megan got the zebra, like that's ridiculous. This was one of the last episodes to air in 2005. Wow, they really spread across these episodes. This episode marks the last appearance of Dr. Jeff Blazer. I'm not sure if you remember him from The Bet or Little Diva, those band episode stuff we did. He's such a funny recurring character. They have Mountain Fizz as the parodies of the soft drink Mountain Dew. And the cereal Wheat Squares is possibly a parody of the Frosted Mini Wheats from General Mills. The episode took place during June 2005 and is seen on a calendar in Drake and Josh's bedroom, which is interesting. The next episode we have is Megan's new teacher. So when Drake's drummer Mitch quits the band to join a church choir, Drake struggles to play both guitar and drums for an upcoming performance at the premiere's 3-year anniversary party.
Mitch? No, Mitch. Oh, he quit my band so he could go join his church choir. Jerk.
Oh my god, it's only been around for 3 years? That doesn't make any sense. At school, Josh joins the TTT, Student Teaching Program, and is assigned to teach Megan's class while their teacher relaxes in the lounge.
We're her brothers.
Well, don't tell them.
He overloads the kids with college-level chemistry, quickly earning their resentment toward him.
Huh? None of us are. It's way too hard.
Listen, little girl. I am your teacher, and you will show me some respect.
Megan is mortified her brother is her teacher, and her classmates blame her for all the bad lessons. And Josh is definitely unbearable in this episode, like, is brought to a whole new level because of how committed he is to challenging these students. Like, that's so not fair to them.
I am a very famous person. Who am I?
A hobo?
No, hobos aren't famous.
He tries to make it more fun by going all in dressed as Albert Einstein, but the class thinks he's a homeless man. After the students all fail his pop quiz, Megan's actually uninvited from a birthday party.
Duff. Lohan. Duff. Helen, who would win in a slap fight, Lohan or Duff?
Oh, no contest, Lohan.
And at the premiere, Josh confronts Helen about being excluded from the event, and when she tries to deny it, Drake does expose the truth, so Helen has to ask Josh to attend, which is so annoying.
All right, you can come.
Oh, sweet. Oh, what should I wear?
That red vest, you parking cars.
Megan and Drake grow frustrated when Josh's strict teaching disqualifies Neil, the talented 11-year-old drummer Drake found, from playing in the band.
Hey, what's up, my drummer?
Listen, my mom won't let me play in your band because I failed Mr. Nichols' quiz. Sorry.
They end up trying to sabotage Josh's teaching by tampering with his chemistry setup during the evaluation he has.
I don't know why that helps us.
Just go get your car keys.
So they sneak into the school and actually rig it, and this is one of the funniest scenes in the entire series.
What are you doing?
Look, it's a bunny.
Stop that!
But it's totally fair because it's like Josh is easily aggravating everybody in his life, so of course he's not going to be invited to these events. And I like how both Megan and Drake have the same annoyance about it.
I realize this can be very enjoyable, but the most... What the...
Why are those clowns hurting each other with chickens?
Yes, Josh, why?
So Josh's experiments end up going haywire, and he is fired from the TTT program after 3 strikes.
Next.
It's a super funny scene where, like, all of his experiments go dangerously and he just keeps trying to make up for it, but it does not work. And on Friday night, Neil does get to drum at the party where Josh works. And to his surprise, Megan's classmates actually present him with a draft trophy for best teacher ever, explaining that while they didn't love his teaching, they're grateful he caused their hated teacher, Mrs. Hunter, to quit.
But I thought you guys hated me.
We do. We hate you both, but in different ways.
Which is definitely a positive ending. They think he's still kind of a dork, but a cool one. And then in the end credits, Drake auditions new drummers, only to lose his temper and punch a hole in the wall, which I don't remember this scene that much.
how'd you fix the wall?
Rabbi had some spackle.
Tara Lynn Barr guest stars as Katie in this episode of the show, and she guest starred in 2 episodes of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody as Haley, who's a character who's very shy and puts a bag on her head.
They think I'm cool.
I heard almost.
Megan asks Josh to give her Nintendo GS, which is a parody of the Nintendo DS, obviously. But it's funny because Drake and Josh actually have a video game on the DS. Megan and Drake are on the same side for the 3rd time in the series. And this is the 2nd episode where kids hate Josh. The first one was the #1 fan episode with Megan and her Girl Scout troop, if you guys remember that one. In one scene where Drake, Josh, and Megan are at the premiere, Drake is wearing an England rugby jersey with a Q2 logo on the front. Random. This is the only episode in the series where Josh takes on an antagonistic side and also torments Megan. Even though it's not on purpose, this could be considered one of the episodes where all the roles are kind of switched. This could also likely be Josh's revenge for all the pranks that Megan plays on him and Drake getting away with it. And this was the first episode to air in 2006. And sadly, in 2014, the last episode to be airing on Nickelodeon. I feel like the morals is like teachers do not teach a subject, they teach a student. And respect is earned, not demanded, which is kind of cool that they come across this lesson. So the next we have episode 13, Little Sibling. So Drake is late for class, again, but he gets help sneaking in when Becca distracts Miss Hafer.
What is it about Sloppy Joe Day that makes those women so violent?
With a fake fight story in exchange for a kiss. Oh my god, is that Vanessa Hudgens? This is crazy. She's like the background character in all these teen shows, but also the main character of High School Musical? What the heck? Unfortunately, Miss Hafer already suspects something's up and asks Josh, who can't resist, and accidentally rats Drake out.
Was Drake on time to my class today?
You know, like, what is time when you think about it? Because, you know, Einstein theorized that time is actually connected to... No, he wasn't here on time.
Instead of detention, she assigns Drake to a wild remedial English class filled with chaos. There's like a dog on a leash, 2 creepy Bartleby sisters. It's just, Drake needs to avoid this. So he goes in with the little sibling program. And he's paired with a little boy named Sammy.
Why the denominator?
Take this. Hey, Carmela, how's it going? Oh, you do? Oh, you do? No, I'm not busy.
Drake quickly bores Sammy, but Josh wins him over with his magic tricks and a tour of the premiere. Jealous, Drake...
He just wandered up here with some tinfoil looking all bored.
He wasn't bored.
Tries to win Sammy back by taking him girl watching and offering bribes.
6, 8, and 9.5. You agree?
No, they're way older than that.
But Sammy prefers Josh, and it's really funny seeing Drake's advantages like not work for him. Like, he clearly thinks Drake is a loser, and that's like so rare for anything in Josh and Drake's life.
If Sammy prefers Josh, well, I think we know what will happen to you.
Won't someone please call the police?
Later, Josh and Sammy actually make a homemade chef show in which Sammy calls Josh cool, which is a huge moment for him because nobody's ever called him cool, and he's used to Drake being the popular one.
Kind of nice having someone think it's the other way around for once.
This moment kind of reminds me of iCarly, where it's like 2 kids in front of the camera, and they're acting as loopy as Carly and Sam would, so it's a nice to think about iCarly happening later. Drake ends up faking pancreas troubles to let Josh and Sammy bond at the magic show, being like this selfless deed for him. Megan catches him faking, unaware that Josh actually did hear everything, and we kind of respect Drake a little bit more. I like it when Drake does a selfless act, especially for Josh. Like, it makes the show feel a lot stronger with their dynamic.
You don't even know where your pancreas is.
Yes, I do. It's right somewhere in the tummy area.
You're not sick.
All right, so I'm not sick.
So you faked pancreas trouble to make Josh feel good?
Yeah.
You are sick.
Feeling guilty, Drake tells Miss Hafer that Josh has been the real big sibling all along and ends up in remedial class. But Josh returns the favor. He lies to the teacher to get Drake out of it, which is a really sweet moment. In the end credits, Sammy dreams up an Oprah and Blaine Darby crossover show, and Josh tries to impress the group with another magic trick. This episode marks the third time somebody thought Josh was cool. The first was in football, and the second was in Megan's new teacher at the end. When Drake and Josh are watching the near ending, there's no laugh track, even though there was when in the video. It's possible the show used a live off-screen audience, or the editors edited the track on the cutting room floor. When Josh gives Sammy some fountain drinks, Mocha-Cola is like a parody of Coca-Cola, and Mountain Fizz is the parody of Mountain Dew. This is one of the first and only times we see Miss Hafer at the premiere. This is also the first and only episode to have Mrs. Hafer's husband appear, although he never appears on screen with his wife and daughter, which is kind of random. Sammy is from an organization called Little Sibling, which is a parody of the real-life organization Big Brothers and Big Sisters, which actually partners adult youth mentors with children and teenagers to educate and guide them as a positive influence, which is a really cool concept. And Sammy's actually mentioned later in the Dr. Phyllis show as a flashback from the episode. Despite refusing to lie, this is one of the few rare times that Josh actually does lie for Drake by pulling him out of the remedial class, which is a really nice character growth from the beginning of the episode.
FBI's Most Wanted? Well, I love that show. I watch every Saturday night.
Really? I'd think a teenager like yourself would be out on Saturday nights.
Yeah, you would think that.
Next, we have the Theater Thug episode. This one is definitely a cultural milestone. Like, everybody knows the Theater Thug episode.
You want me to play the bad guy?
Sound fun?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not much of an actor.
Neither's Jennifer Lopez.
True that.
Josh reenacts a criminal called the Theater Thug on FBI's Most Wanted. It's the spoof of America's Most Wanted, and they're filming at the premiere.
Where's the money?
He does a great job, and all the family watches the show. But the next day, they end up mistaking him for the real Theater Thug, and he ends up getting arrested on numerous occasions.
Helen! Where have you been? At the police station.
Again?
Yeah. People keep recognizing me from FBI's Most Wanted.
Yeah, me too. You know I've signed like 7 autographs today?
Megan tries to help Josh disguise himself and actually get out of the situation.
I call this Little Joshica.
Click.
Okay. How about this?
See, this is sort of a retro Mr. T look.
When we're looking at the different pictures of what Josh could be, we see like Joshica, and that's a really funny moment. Seeing Megan actually work to help her brothers is really sweet. But it also makes it worse.
Wearing a hippie disguise!
Nah, see, my name is Antoine. How are you?
And Drake even signs autographs and becomes super famous for his one line on TV, despite Josh's misfortune about this. This is another thing that Drake and Josh does well, is Josh's misfortune and Drake's privilege. Like, they clearly live very different lives, and this episode is such a good example of that.
You give me the money, I ain't playing.
Whoa, just take it easy, man.
Later on, the real Theater Thug shows up at the premiere, and Josh thinks it's just somebody that's gonna accuse him of being the Theater Thug again.
But look, I am not the real Theater Thug.
Yeah, I know that.
Good.
I am.
Look, I'm about to close us. Hello.
He ends up actually threatening him, closing down the premiere, and confronting Josh. Like, we're actually worried about Josh's well-being here. It's like one of the few times since that episode of Pool Shark when Drake and Josh were in danger that I'm actually worried about their well-being. That seemed like they were gonna get hurt, and this seems like even worse. So he robs Josh, and after the fight, Josh manages to pin him down, but the cops arrive and mistake Josh for the Theater Thug, arresting him instead of the actual thug, which is so depressing. I can't believe it ends on such a negative note.
Sweet, what are you doing? I'm not the guy! I am not the guy!
I cared so much about Josh's safety, so like seeing this negative ending definitely gave a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, am I gonna have to worry about this when I'm getting their age? I don't know, it just scares me. One of the most iconic moments is when Josh calls himself Antoine, and his line is what it is, because it's like, that's just such a cringe moment. This was also used in the episode of All That, where Kenan Thompson plays Antoine. The second disguise that Megan and Drake show Josh is a morphed picture of Zoe Brooks from Zoe 101, which is crazy, I never knew that. One of Josh's opening lines was heard in the Sam and Cat episode #favorite show, which I didn't know. They also see the Mr. T reference with its catchphrase, I pity the fool, from Rocky 3. The real Theater Thug's whereabouts following this episode is unknown, but it's likely he was eventually captured or still at large. I wish this came back. Josh gets beat up and arrested 3 separate times. This is the second time Josh gets tortured by other people after being on television, with the first being the Blues Brothers. Do you guys remember that episode when he was twitching on the Weather Channel and then everybody called him Twitchy? Like, Josh must be super famous in this town. And it's completely, like, illogical that they would have missed the thug and gotten Josh. Like, there's no way the police missed that due to the cruelty and stupidity of the townsfolk and police, which makes a lot of sense because it's definitely used for comedic effect and super funny, but obviously it's not going to paint a great picture and would not be seen today. This is the only episode that's actually not seen or shown as a flashback in the Dr. Phyllis episode, unlike all the other season 3 episodes, which is interesting. To this day, people ask Drake Bell to say, "Whoa, take it easy, man," as a phrase that came from this episode. So this is actually a really historical moment.
Least you could do is act like you care. Dude, this is a news report about the Demonator. The Demonator!
Next we have the Demonator, episode 15. So Drake and Josh plan on riding a roller coaster called the Demonator on the first day. It's open.
What is this?
Audrey and Walter told the boys that they're not allowed to ride it because they want them to stay home and watch their great-grandfather, Papa Nichols, who's 81 and has just had surgery.
Fine. Here, come on, he can come with us. Come on, Josh, grab his feet. I always have to grab the feet.
Why are you trusting 2 teenage boys to watch over this elderly man? When Audrey and Walter go out to the news awards, Drake calls Craig and Eric to babysit Papa Nichols while he and Josh and Megan go to ride the Demonator.
Where's the party? Are we early? You know I don't like being the first ones at a party. Don't start with me.
It's very disrespectful to assume that Craig and Eric just weren't doing anything. Like, they're definitely stereotypes of nerds and don't have a lot of substance to them, but they do such a good job at being funny. Like, this was one of the funniest episodes that came out at the time.
When's he supposed to wake up? Don't worry about it. Yeah, he just had surgery. He's on tons of medication. He'll totally sleep through the night. You ready? Ready to demonate!
While at Mystic Mountain, Drake, Josh, and Megan are bumped to the back of the line after Josh upset the other people to use the restroom. Meanwhile, though, Papa Nichols wakes up disoriented and thinks he's back in World War II.
And we're not Germans.
We're honor students.
He pranks Craig and Eric, believing they are German nerds, and proceeds to attack them on multiple occasions.
Where's it coming from? My shirt pocket? What is this? Some kind of weapon?
And Drake and Josh also get bumped back again for messing with Milford Mouse.
You do not yank off Milford Mouse's tail. Josh, stay out of it.
Hey, buddy, you do not yank off my tail.
Yeah, I know. He's the one that...
Yeah, how would you like it if I yanked off your tail, huh?
And then Megan actually ditches them, takes the opportunity to remain in line, and pretends not to know them, which is so disrespectful.
You with these guys?
Never seen him before in my life.
Come on!
After Megan rides the Demonator, Drake and Josh finally get to ride it as well.
It's better than love. It's better than girls.
Okay, don't get crazy.
And they get back home before their parents arrive. In the end, Drake, Josh, and Megan come home to see Craig and Eric tied up by Papa Nick.
Why are Craig and Eric tied up?
Because your great-grandfather went berserk.
So their well-being is completely at risk this night. Is Drake even paying them? Like, this is nuts. And as Audrey and Walter arrive home, Drake and Josh quickly send Craig and Eric out of the house, and we think that they got away with it.
Papa Nichols, wake up. It's time to go.
Nice try, German! USA! USA!
Oh my gosh, another episode that just does not end on a positive note. During the ending credits, Craig goes upstairs to Drake and Josh's room to look for Eric, but he opens the closet and gets pranked by Papa Nichols once again, and this bit is just so funny. This is the first episode with more than one writer. The second and third episodes would be Dr. Phyllis Show and Really Big Shrimp, unlike the newer shows like iCarly usually does 2 writers anyway. But this must have been the beginning of having more writers. Mystic Mountain appears to be a parody of Six Flags Magic Mountain. The exterior shots of the amusement park are actually the park on the Santa Monica Pier, which I didn't know. Roderick McCarthy, who plays the security guard on Mystic Mountain, also plays the music teacher in the victorious episode Begging on Your Knees, which I never noticed. And the guy who played Papa Nichols actually died on Christmas 2005 before the episode was even released, which sucks. The clothes Drake and Josh wore in this episode was also in the Drake and Josh Hollywood DVD cover. After Drake and Josh ride the Demonator and their hair gets messy, Drake's hair looks kind of like the spiky hair from season 1 that he wore all the time. This is the only appearance of Papa Nichols, although he does get mentioned in the season 4 episode The Wedding, when they announced that he used his cell phone against the wall, which is definitely a random continuity anchor. When Papa Nichols picks up his shoe and begins to talk to it like a real soldier does, a walkie-talkie, he believes he's talking to General George S. Peyton Jr., which is a real-life general in World War II. This is one of the episodes where Walter actually asks Megan to be called Dad instead of his first name, but she just denies it.
Don't you think it's kind of fun?
Yes, this is kind of fun.
Next we have season 3, episode 16, Alien Invasion. So Megan got a new telescope. She's using Josh's laptop and Drake's leather jacket without their permission and like studying aliens.
Is that my new leather jacket?
Maybe.
Megan?
Well, I'm not putting my brand new telescope on the grass.
Drake and Josh get in trouble when Megan pretends like she got pushed down by them, and it's just so funny.
Just out here trying to learn about space, and Drake and Josh pushed me down.
They end up hatching a plan to actually turn the tables and prank Megan back because they're just so tired of her taking advantage of them.
Let me write that down. Freeze her. Didn't really write that down. No!
First, they insert fake images of aliens onto the laptop screen, and Megan falls for the prank. And she's actually scared, and I've never seen Megan react so scared like this. It's kind of crazy. Then, of course, something bad has to happen to Josh with Walter throwing out the trash while they're hidden in there. Of course, Drake doesn't get it. Drake and Josh then get Eric to adjust the electric switches in the kitchen to control the technology inside. And if I were Eric, I would never talk to these guys again. Like, just last episode, Papa Nichols assaulted you. Why are you helping?
Here's the remote.
Awesome. Well, you should probably be getting on home, huh?
You know, sometimes I feel you just use me.
Then they frighten Megan by making her think that the aliens are interfering with the electricity. Drake and Josh try to continue to prove that aliens are invading.
No such thing as aliens.
There are two. I saw them and I heard them. And now they're coming. The aliens are coming. Aliens!
And when Megan is left alone one night, Drake and Josh actually get fully prosthetically made up to look like aliens, which is so intense. Once they actually scare Megan, Drake and Josh celebrate. Until real aliens, quote unquote, show up. They get freaked out and run away. Until we learn that they're actually Megan's friends dressed up as aliens.
Nice job, Danny.
Sure thing, Megan.
And she's just paying them back for what they did, which is so crazy. I don't even remember how she picked up on their prank. Then later, Megan's making coffee for the alien in the kitchen, and when Walter sees him, he's like freaking out and jumps out the window, which is kind of dramatic for no reason. The fact that Megan pulled a prank on the boys by involving someone dressed up as an alien to scare them is just such a funny concept. Drake and Josh's particular use of the ham radio was technically illegal. Like in the United States, a ham radio operator must have a license to channels on certain frequencies, and on top of that, all outgoing transmissions will require the operator to identify themselves using a designated call sign.
Zeep.
Zeef.
Come on, do it with me.
The episode shares similarities with the 90s sitcom Step by Step titled Get Organized, in which the sisters Dana and Karen trick their stepbrother and step-cousin that a UFO is coming to Earth. This is one of the episodes where Eric appears without Craig, not counting Eric's appearance in Mindy Loves Josh, or the background fighting during the pilot. The DVD version has missing scenes that are cut from the TV version, including Josh telling Drake, "Please don't breathe in my ear," the scene after Megan and Walter wash dishes.
No way!
Really?
Swear, it was an alien spaceship, no doubt about it.
Well, that is incredible.
Astonishing.
The person dressed in and wearing the Danny alien costume is never identified or revealed, which is kind of weird. Now for the season 3 finale, episode number 17, The Dr. Phyllis Show. In this episode, Drake and Josh are kind of taking stabs at one another. Like, Drake gets mad at Josh because he apparently told his English teacher he needs a tutor, and Josh explains how Drake sprayed his girlfriend Mindy with a hose, so they're like at it already.
Not hit another golf ball in this room. 4.
Megan is had enough and is continually awoken by their fighting.
It is 11:45 p.m. I am a little girl. Little girls are supposed to be asleep at 11:45 p.m.
So she gives them tickets to the Dr. Phyllis show, which is, I guess, better than therapy, I don't know, hoping that Dr. Phyllis can end their bickering. After she leaves Drake and Josh's room, she sets off a smoke bomb so that they pass out and she could sleep, which is kind of crazy. Dr. Phyllis kind of feels like a parody of Ellen and Dr. Phil at the same time, like just by her appearance, the way she conducts herself, and she's a little bit more friendly than Dr. Phil would be.
I'm telling you, it is not easy having Josh for a brother. Oh, and you think you're a walk through a fresh meadow? See, who says things like that?
And it's really cool to have this change of pace for this episode. And it doesn't get as bad as Blooptorius gets, or I Bloop from iCarly. So Drake talks about how much of a spaz Josh is, and Josh talks about how aggravating Drake is. Dr. Phyllis then asks them if there's anybody that causes them stress, and they kind of come together on agreeing that Megan is one of the cruelest people ever. Before Dr. Phyllis begins to calm the boys by doing an exercise with hand-holding, Drake and Josh begin to close their eyes. And suddenly they fight all over again.
Back to a time.
Ow! He pinched my palm.
Drake.
I did not.
Josh.
Ow! Ow! He twisted my thumb.
Resulting in physical violence. And Dr. Phyllis is like, is this how you handle your problems? And Drake and Josh definitely do. That's them coming to terms with it. When she sees that they use physical abuse to handle their fights, they mention those times as well, which is a really funny throwback. And we even get to see the time Drake dated Liza Tupper to get his old girlfriend back, and Drake admits it happens and calls her a dumb and bad kisser.
Liza Tupper happens to be my daughter.
Oh, well, this is awkward.
But then we learn that Hot Liza apparently is Dr. Phyllis's daughter. And she's like, you call him that? Which is one of the very many messed up things that happen on this show. Then she attacks Josh, and the show just kind of ends with them never resolving it.
She only made us talk about the bad times between us. Yeah. We're not always fighting. No way. We do nice stuff for each other. Totally.
Once back at the house, the boys kind of talk about how Dr. Phyllis only made them think of the bad times, and they start reminiscing about the good ones, which actually brings them closer together. In a nice clip show, they end up making up with each other, but then immediately go back to fighting when they see that Josh gave Drake a Diet Cola. And the episode ends how it started.
You know I hate diet, man.
Are you really gonna get mad about this?
You're always
so
doing this, man. Come on.
I'm always doing
Look,
this.
This is what I'm talking about. You know what?
I'm enjoying a delicious regular
You're still mad
beverage.
about the
With Megan putting another smoke bomb and having them fall asleep, which totally fair. This show just keeps resetting its episodes. In the UK airings, they actually took out Drake's line, he's a spaz, and redubbed it to he's a dork, because it's apparently offensive in that culture. This is the second and last episode where Drake plays golf in his bedroom, which the first one was Sheep Thrills. Why does that have to be his hobby? And it's the last episode to premiere on Saturday night until Megan's first kiss premiered. This is the first time that Megan gives Drake and Josh 2 tickets to the Dr. Phyllis show and demands them not to keep fighting. The last episode where Megan is young and short, like every episode later, she looks a lot more like Carly Shay from iCarly, specifically the last season, and it starts with the next episode. Liza Tupper is mentioned for the first time since playing the field, and it marks her last appearance in the series. It's also the last episode where Josh has messy hair. And there's no flashbacks from season 1 episodes, which is kind of random. The only season 2 flashbacks they use are the bet, football, pool shark, driver's license, mean teacher, and Drew and Jerry. Which is like, why is the second season so neglected? If you guys want to check it out, my second season retrospective is available. They don't have any scenes or clips from the Theater Thug because Drake and Josh don't really fight in that episode, which is interesting. Dr. Phyllis revealing that Liza is her daughter is similar to the ending to Mean Teacher when Drake learns that Kelly is Miss Hafer's daughter, which is not super special to recycle these same plots. But I don't know, Drake and Josh isn't necessarily about a lot. The episode's also quite similar to an episode of Alf titled Tonight Tonight, where Alf shows all of his flashbacks from season 2. I don't really like these clip show episodes. I mean, Drake and Josh did a good job at somehow weaving it into the plot and still having original content, but for the most part, it feels like a clip show. And that's kind of how we end season 3. The show definitely brought out some of its best material in this season, with notably the Theater Thug episode going crazy. Whew, that was a dense hour and 18 minutes I just gave you. Now let's switch gears. Let's rank the episodes. the best episodes of Season 3 of Drake and Josh. Yeah, I got a lot of great feedback on the complete second season retrospective, and I'm excited to jump back into this again with a new third season one. Definitely the best and strongest episodes in the entire series, and I cannot hold back my excitement for diving into them with you guys. From episode 17 all the way to episode 1, this episode is full of comical moments, clever plot lines, and even more hilarious characters, with the show hitting its stride at the maximum peak it could possibly get. But without further ado, let's talk about some of the best episodes and see my personal rankings. To all of you that have been dying to put the Dr. Phyllis Show as your #1 episode, I'm sorry. I'm not a clip show lover. Like, it's cool that we get to see all the funniest moments, but we're only 3 seasons into the show. I don't need to see a recap of like 20, 25 episodes. It just feels unnecessary. Of course, I'm not going to put it as the most valuable episode. It does have some great moments, and in the Drake and Josh fashion, it does really well. I just don't think it deserves to be higher. This one is pretty forgettable. Like, I love the Josh bit with the mustache, like that part's really good. Mindy asking Megan to shave the beard, that's a great bit. But all around, it's kind of forgettable. I didn't remember this episode at first, and I could see that the jokes weren't as strong, so I wasn't super invested. I just didn't want to have this compete with the other episodes. Sheep Thrills is also a really funny episode, but it definitely feels like a rehashing of Two Idiots and a Baby. With the same premise, this one definitely does it better, but because of it not being super unique, I didn't want to put it higher on the list. Although, learning about how it was going to be a kangaroo instead was pretty interesting, wouldn't you say? Girl power is a strong premise because of the whole gender against each other, and I really like that. And having Josh have to deal with Mindy and her family at the same time definitely was a formula for chaos in a really inviting way. But at the end of the day, the jokes didn't outweigh the plot line. It just felt a little bit boring. It felt funny, but the rest wasn't as good. Number 13 is The Affair. Definitely a really strong episode. I love seeing Drake and Josh out of their element, following Walter around. Like, we don't get a single Walter episode, and now we get one, and it's just anticlimactic. It's just one big miscommunication. And I like that we actually believe the dad could be cheating, but there's just a lot more memorable episodes before it. Number 12 is Helen's Surgery. This is such a good one, like getting backstory into one of the funniest characters, having Drake be so into the hot tub that he actually invites people over Josh's boss's house. And Josh trying to keep everything in line is definitely what Drake and Josh does best. I just think that there's better episodes than this, and I'm gonna keep saying that because honestly, like, this season is really strong, therefore I'm only gonna appoint the stronger episodes. Number 11 is The Demonator. I love this one because of the Papa Nichols and Eric and Craig plotline, and it's super funny having them constantly getting kicked out of line and going back in line, but for the most part, not a lot happens in it. And no one character is being focused on, it's more about the ensemble group, which isn't bad, I just think that it's been done better. Then we have Alien Invasion. This one always freaked me out as a kid in the best way. Like, seeing Megan have her comeuppance from Drake and Josh is awesome, and I think it's hilarious. It turns out that Megan is the one who actually knew all along. Like, that is the perfect Megan episode, and I just love watching them focus on individual characters. Then of course Mindy's back. We're at the top 10. Number 9, Mindy's back. Not only was Mindy hilarious in the Honor Council, but she's back with a twist, and it's so funny to think that these two science enemies can switch it up and be into a relationship, and seeing Drake's approval matter in that scenario makes it even funnier. The memorable moments are definitely within the science fair, and when Josh is going to Mandy's window, it's so cute. For number 8, we have Megan's New Teacher. This is the one where Josh dresses as Albert Einstein and starts challenging the kids to an extent that none of them asked for. And seeing Josh play the villain in this episode is a welcome switch up for its usual format. It makes it unique and really special, and I love seeing this season be so dynamic, and this episode is definitely one of the ones to thank for it. Seeing the kids interact with Megan also kind of gives us a deeper look into her life, which I'm so interested in, being she's so devious and cunning. Episode 7 is the Drake and Josh Inn. Yep, the season premiere. This one is really good. Just having that whole house party and hiding it from the parents flipped on its head and having it be more about Drake and Josh needing to get money and how far they're willing to go to do it, compromising with Megan, compromising with their house, and then even Helen getting involved. Like, it's the chaos at its peak for Drake and Josh. One of the most memorable episodes for sure. Now, number 6, we have We're Married. This is a really cool one with the cultural differences playing such a hilarious role, and Josh and Drake fighting over the attention of Yuka, leading to an accidental marriage. Like, the stakes are so high in this episode for no reason, and it's perfect for the comedy, the plot, and it all just ties in together in a really unique way. Like, this deserves to be number 6 on the top 10 list. Of course, paging Dr. Drake is episode 5. Like, seeing Drake impersonate a doctor and have the risk being that it's completely illegal is super funny. Being thrown into a surgery that Josh then has to get him out of by acting like different people. Like, this episode is really good at making the chaos go in a different direction. Josh's fear of hospitals definitely anchor the emotions of it. And the guest star of the doctor is super believable to a point where it's like, I'm worried for Drake too. One of my favorite episodes growing up. That's where the top 5 needs to come in. The next couple episodes are going to be the number 1 episodes of the season, and they are just so good. We have episode 4, Little Sibling. So this is the one with Sammy, which is kind of similar to the one with Yuka, where Drake and Josh are both vying for attention of one particular person for their own reasons. But the fact that it's a little sibling, like a kid that's influenced easily, is so funny because you see how toxic Drake is and then how caring Josh is. And it ends up having an emotional beat of Josh that he could be cool. And that's a really memorable episode. I remember all the promos for it, and having Miss Hafer in it only makes it stronger. Like, season 3 of Drake and Josh is phenomenal so far. And then, of course, number 3 is the Peruvian Puff Pepper. This one is super infamous. For me, it's the scene where Josh and Drake sneak into Megan's room and try to uncover what she's up to. Like, it's early in the 3rd season, but it definitely gives it a good head on its shoulder. And having the rare Peruvian Puff Pepper actually be illegal and being a prank by Megan all along just makes it even more interesting. The location of the salsa challenge invites a lot of new environments to see Drake and Josh in, and they are just as funny in them too. Then number 2, we have the infamous Theater Thug episode. It's probably no surprise that I put this here to you guys. One of the most memorable quotes is the "Whoa, just take it easy, man," from Drake and Josh, and seeing everybody pummel Josh just because they think he's this true villain is super funny. Like, I would not only say this is the best one of the best episodes in the series, but this is definitely Josh's best episode. He shines hilariously in this, and seeing Drake get all the compliments in return only adds to the fire. This is one of the episodes that people look back and say, I remember Drake and Josh for this reason, the Theater Thug episode. So therefore it had to be in the top 3 just because of its cultural impact, its memeage, and everything else in between. Like, you can't not look at this one. And then, of course, number 1, we have the Foam Finger episode. 1, because it's super creative in the way it breaks the normal sitcom trope of sticking to one location, involving multiple characters, and they actually make it a full flashback episode. Not in the way Dr. Phyllis is, where we see things that already happened, but where we get insight into Drake and Josh's childhood. And the fact that it's so much more coincided than we thought makes us realize that the brothers really are destined to get on each other's nerves. Like, it happened since they were kids, and even until this day. And having Megan be a part of the solution is really heartwarming. All around, it just does the comedy so well with the miscommunication of what exactly happened, up until the actual store owner comes out and explains the full story, asking Walter for $100. Like, it's just so unexpected and really deserves the crown as the best episode in this season. I don't know who these 2 child actors are, but they did such a good job, and the little orphan girl, hilarious. All in all, Drake and Josh had phenomenal episodes in the 3rd season. Like, the first 2 seasons had some really good ideas, but this carries it out to its peak. It's gonna get better in the 4th season when we get to it, but up until this point, I definitely think this is one of the golden seasons. But what were your guys' favorite episode? Please don't forget to tell me what left more of an impact in your life in the 2000s than what I've kind of talked about. Until next time, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and this is Johnny 2000.